Greetings. This is Selmants presenting an overview of reading and literacy systems and focusing on the interaction between text-to-speech technology and readers with print-related limitations. This presentation is part of the final project for ATHS 697. By way of introduction, I'd like to provide a roadmap of the presentation. We're going to focus on the interaction between technology and readers with print-related limitations, also known as PWPRLs. And we'll address broad areas of discussion and further exploration, including the complexity of the reading process, obstacles to literacy, how assistive technology, or AT, can help people with print-related limitations, the interactions of reading and literacy systems, or RALS, known as RALS, and persons with print-related limitations across categories, some of the benefits of reading and literacy systems, some of the complications and limitations, and finally some points on implementation and the implications of RALS use. The steps involved in reading and literacy are complex and complicated, and they involve a number of overlapping developmental steps, including phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, visual processing, decoding, phonetic awareness, automaticity, sequencing, reading fluency, inference, knowledge and understanding, and recursive persistence, all leading to the final goal of reading comprehension, of course. The steps begin for the typical sighted hearing beginner reader with basic phonemic awareness. And that's the mental connection between sounds and spoken speech and the words they represent, and the ideas that these words can transmit. In the stages of reading acquisition, a number of steps are necessary factors, but they are not alone sufficient for full reading and mature literacy. Each of these stages of reading acquisition are crucial, but these functions and processes must interact seamlessly for full mature literacy. Deficits in one or more of these functions can significantly impede literacy. Obstacles to literacy can vary greatly for each struggling reader. We're often a mix of physiological factors and environmental factors, including neural disruption, genetic inheritance, injury and limitation, health and wellness issues, and socioeconomic issues. Educational practices, including exclusion and isolation, can impede acquisition of mature literacy. In terms of physiological factors, recent imaging technology and genetic research have found factors that may physiologically impede the rapid and effective communication within remote parts of the brain that are necessary for automatic and fluid processing and reading, including basic structural issues involving the brain's white matter and myelinization processes, as well as the discovery of certain genetic alleles that could undermine effective reading acquisition accuracy and mature literacy. In addition, there are numerous well-documented environmental factors that can affect the acquisition process. Chief amongst them are factors that may be extrinsic to the individual, such as socioeconomic status and educational practices, and then those more direct factors of exclusion and isolation, either socially, educationally, or geographically. Given the complicated nature of reading acquisition and the numerous variables of factors affecting acquisition and mature literacy, and given also that these necessary steps for reading acquisition and literacy may be present in an individual, there are still numerous, sometimes unpredictable factors which can impede reading and literacy. It's been estimated that in the United States, perhaps 20% of adults are semi-literate, meaning that they may not be able to read and understand medication labels, employment applications, or written driving exams. Technology offers a partial solution to some of these issues for print-related limitations on literacy. For sighted, able-bodied persons with print-related limitations, technology originally designed to provide access to print for blind users has been developed to benefit sighted persons with print-related disabilities. Beginning with text-to-speech technology, also known as TTS, users have been able to hear print through the process involving optical character recognition, algorithms, and machine learning, which translate ASCII text into words and then transmit that data to synthetic speech for audio output. This technology has been available to persons with print-related limitations for more than 25 years. In its basic state, TTS is widely available on smartphones and other mobile devices, but it's often quite rudimentary and designed primarily to perform tasks. Reading and literacy systems, also known as RALs, build upon basic TTS by adding numerous tools, aiding the decoding and sequencing, processing, and comprehension needs that people with print-related limitations. In addition, modern RALs typically feature writing tools, proofreading and editing aids, native glosses and dictionaries, thesauruses, and the ability to integrate this technology with speech recognition systems. Moreover, modern RALs have options and features which allow the user to fully customize the interface for optimal support and personalized performance. In addition to supporting the basic tasks of reading, modern RALs can improve the productivity of persons with print-related limitations, as well as reducing fatigue, frustration, and stigma. Modern RALs have the potential to benefit persons with print-related limitations across a wide spectrum of categories, including age, culture, population, limitation type, varying goals and expectations, and different degrees of skills and preparation, as well as in a variety of contexts and settings. RALs can potentially benefit users ranging in age from elementary school students through post-secondary education and into the workplace. Additionally, RALs can benefit users acquiring literacy at any age, or users reacquiring literacy because of a change in health, wellness, or circumstances. Text-to-speech technology has been shown to benefit a variety of persons with print-related limitations, remediate their reading deficits, complete GEDs, gain employment and life skills, and succeed in college. The benefit of RALs use can be transferred to the workplace for improved employability, increased performance and productivity, and career growth. For other marginalized groups and population, RALs can promote inclusion, autonomy, and well-being by providing a means of accessing text while reducing fatigue, frustration, and stigma. Some benefits of RALs used by persons with print-related limitations are promoted by the characteristics of the technology itself, including versatility, usability, accessibility, and functionality. In short, modern RALs offer the potential to access text with a high degree of ease of use for persons with print-related limitation. For these persons, use of modern RALs can provide a bridge to reading and literacy, resulting in increased inclusion, employability, satisfaction, and positive outcomes affecting daily living activities. While the benefit to persons with print-related limitations may seem evident, there are significant complications and limitations to the adoption and dispersal of RALs. Chief among these complicating factors is the question of the effectiveness of RALs themselves. Much of the research concerning the effectiveness of RALs has been shown to be methodologically problematic, owing largely to factors such as poor study design, small sample sizes, and infrequent use of control groups in these studies. Although some research has demonstrated the effectiveness of RALs, too often the results have been mixed. There remains some question of the suitability of RALs for different groups of users. Some studies have shown that users with the lowest literacy skills benefit the greatest from RALs use. Beyond that, there has been some difficulty in quantifying which other groups of persons with print-related limitations might benefit from RALs use and under which condition the tools are effective. Consequently, other limiting complications, including funding, training, adoption, and support, have affected the wider dispersal of RALs. Perhaps due to insufficient methodologically sound research, there's been inconsistent policy support for the funding, training, and staffing needed for wider implementation. These complications may not have only limited wider dispersal of RALs, but may also contribute to abandonment of this AT by users with print-related limitations. While there are significant challenges to the adoption of RALs for persons with print-related limitations posed by these complications and the limitations, the potential benefits remain significant, though under-realized. There are numerous possible factors affecting wider implementation. As mentioned earlier, lack of research and effective outcome studies play a major role, no doubt. But in settings such as public post-secondary education, there seems to be significant anecdotal evidence supporting the effectiveness of RALs used by persons with print-related limitation. So the question remains, what are the general obstacles preventing wider adoption of RALs? Simply put, these obstacles may include lack of awareness, ignorance, suspicion, and skepticism. Besides the overarching dilemma of funding for public education and rehabilitation, the literature discusses continuing cultural issues within education and rehabilitation circles. Namely, the question remains whether RALs or RALs comprise cognitive replacement or cognitive assistance. Or put another way, this question is whether this AT is a crutch or a companion. For some educators, a cultural bias prevents consideration of RALs because of a fear that this AT will undermine or preempt or prevent typical skills acquisition. In rehabilitation circles, the questions may be different, namely whether provision alone of RALs to persons with print-related limitations may be a sufficient strategy to address reading and literacy challenges without adequate assessment or training, support, and outcome evaluation. Another potential obstacle is a temptation to recommend RALs for all persons with print-related limitation in a sort of one-size-fits-all strategy. It can be argued that for the ethical AT practitioner, it is equally problematic to prescribe RALs widely and without assessment as it is to preempt prescription due to costs or complications. The issue of assessment and the use of formal assessment protocols is closely connected to the issue of adoption and abandonment of RALs. The literature suggests that because of mixed research findings, formal assessment may be a productive avenue for better matching the person with the technology. This assessment process may also support improved training for both practitioners and users, since if there were better identification of underlying challenges, there might be more precise application of this technology to address print-related limitations. If post-secondary education remains a relative oasis for the adoption, availability, and support of RALs for persons with print-related limitations, what about persons outside of the system? Why do college students with print-related limitations so often encounter RALs for the first time upon enrollment? These college students too often report a long history of struggling with print, frustration, low academic performance, and stigma. Again, too often these students were never informed of this technology and never provided the opportunity to use it. Although there is a growing awareness of RALs and text-to-speech systems generally, for many students, prior awareness and use came from parental exploration and investigation rather than from the educational systems themselves. In this way, persons with print-related limitations and their circles of support constitute important agents for change and dispersal of RALs. In many cases and localities, it is parents and advocates educating themselves about policy mandates such as IDEA and sections 508 and 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act, in addition to the ADAA, and then armed with information about technology and RALs that are propelling wider adoption and use of RALs in the primary and secondary education system. This pattern of bottom-up advocacy leads to the potential for greater coalition building amongst persons with print-related limitation. There are circles of support, vocational rehabilitation specialists, and AT practitioners alike. While such conditions are needed and welcome, more and better methodologically grounded research must continue. Thank you.